Chapter 14. There is no darkness. The early morning sunrise filled the steps and radiated off the western wall of the little cabin where I was staying. I had slipped out with a steaming cup of coffee cradled in cold hands and found this pocket of warmth. From the time I was a small child living in Virgin Valley, Nevada, sunrise had been the place where I had felt God's presence most powerfully. I opened my prayer book to Psalm 139 for my morning meditation. You have searched me out and known me. You know my sitting down and my rising up. You discern my thoughts from afar. My piety and the silence of the sleeping village seemed mocked by the robins and little fox sparrow who were trying their best to get us to wake up and notice the beauty of this place. I began to smile and quiet my breath. I was awash in my favorite time of day, my favorite season and my favorite psalm. I smiled as I continued to read. You trace my journeys and my resting places. You are acquainted with all my ways. Suddenly, someone was running fast down the dirt road behind me. It was as though the traveler, skittering this way and that on loose gravel, was fleeing for their life. I felt a stab of fear. A dark-haired young woman came into view. I smiled in relief and raised my hand in greeting. She veered off the road and came toward me. Good morning, you're up early, I said cheerfully. You're that lady from the church, aren't you? Yes, I said. Please sit down. Would you like some coffee? I'm in trouble. Tears brimmed as she slumped on the steps beside me, covered her face with her hands, and began to cry. I closed my eyes and tried to quiet my racing heart. Where can I go then from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? Can you help me understand what's happening here? She looked up and searched my face. I was on my way to the river. I was going to jump in. I was going to kill myself. I felt my whole body quicken like I'd been hit by a seismic wave. I fought to stay present to the warmth of the sun on my cheeks and the bright, clear sound of the birds singing. I sat my coffee cup down on the steps and took a deep breath. I'm glad you didn't, I whispered. I'm glad you stopped here instead. Do you want to talk about it? I went to a party last night. I got drunk. I slept with someone who is not my husband. Her words came out in a torrent. I don't know if God can ever forgive me, she wailed, and then her body folded in a heap over her lap. I looked at that young woman bent double with sorrow and felt the knot in my stomach begin to unravel. Fidelity had been a huge issue in my family when I was growing up. My mother and sisters had always felt my father was being unfaithful. He was so handsome and funny. He loved to laugh, and the women were charmed by his easy manner and the way he embodied stories, especially if whiskey was involved. I didn't know if any of the rumors were true or not, but I was beginning to see the parallels with what was happening here. This was alcohol and all the damned crazy things we do when alcohol is involved. Things that we'd never do if we were sober. I needed to let go of my resentment toward my father and the rumors about him if I hoped to remain present to this young woman. I took a deep breath and simply began. I see how sorry you are. Oh, yes, I am so sorry. Don't you know, God sees how sorry you are too, and God has already forgiven you. I paused a moment to let this sink in, then continued to whisper, your job now is to forgive yourself. Do you think that you could do that? She studied my face again, and at last nodded yes. I reached into my pocket for my holy oil, made the sign of the cross on her forehead, and laid my hands on her head. Lord, this is your beloved daughter. She's devastated by what she's done, breaking your commandment. And she's deeply sorry. Thank you for your assurance of forgiveness. Please, Lord, now in the name of Jesus, help her to forgive herself and turn her life around. Take this guilt and shame from her, that she may be free to love you and love her family and love herself. I took her hands in mine and searched her face for a response. She took a deep breath and nodded, yes. Now promise me you will never kill yourself, I said firmly. I promise. Maybe you'd like to go home and make pancakes for your children. Yes, I would. I smiled broadly and felt my shoulders soften as the young woman walked away. All the darkness I felt towards my father shattered into love. Thank you.